we get here? How'd we get here? Did we get here on our own? The seas are overgrown. I wanna see this to the end. I have no need to pretend. You know to get this off my chest. I'm allowed to keep around this emptiness. So much cleanup and cleverness. You know. You never want me. You never want me. Stay in a room right next to you. And now I wanna leave. Sit in a room right next to you. And now I wanna leave.
Good morning. Welcome to the podcast or show. That stands for History, Movies, and Music. I'm Alex Worth along with Johnny Reynolds. Thank you for joining us on this wonderful Tuesday morning. Johnny, what do you got for us today in history?
Well, good morning, everyone. Last week, Joe Drake talked about Napoleon. Now we're coming into kind of a later stage in World War I, which has a lot of indicators. A lot of empires have died. Lots have happened between the western part of Europe and eastern part of Europe, especially some of the Middle East parts. So first, I want to start off, with the big armies such as the Ottoman Empire and the Austro-Hungary Empire, and kind of how they slowly faded away after World War I. They were such a dominant type of nation that they could have spread out and basically dominated Europe. But the downfall of them was basically the mixed cultures that they all had together, and eventually the western side of Europe was able to take over.
Yeah, I think not enough people talk about the Ottoman Empire because that thing was huge. Like they held most of southeastern Europe and the Middle East. So they were definitely a powerful force back in the early 19th or 20th century.
Yeah, if you really think about it, it's really like a religious type of war because the Ottoman Empire was Muslim. Austro-Hungary Empire was taking all cultures, such as like a Bosnian, they had Slovakian, which just kind of created some controversy because there's a bunch of nation states inside the empire that kind of just didn't pan out. And then if you look at, Britain, they had all the land. They had a bunch of power.
Yeah, that was kind of before they gave up a lot of their colonies and affiliated nations, because eventually they lost India. That was closer towards World War II, but that was probably like the last one that they had.
Yeah, they had the best trading system in the world because they had Canada, which is North America. I mean, you had Africa that they were colonizing. You had Australia. Fortunately, they gave up Ireland around this time. But the British were peaking. But just after this war, they kind of did lose lots of their soldiers, despite not really losing this war. But it was a big impact on them. They had really bad problems starting with Belgium. And a thing that really had a lot to do with this war was the new technology, because we haven't really seen machine guns, poison gas, and then really airplanes being used into war. It was just a whole new thing that eventually led up to World War II.
Yeah, it's weird how this is the first war. This changed everything. It truly was a world war. And yeah, like you said, you have planes and you have tanks and you have submarines, and so it's definitely a page turned in the war history book.
Now looking at, some big battles, you had the Battle of Somme, I believe, and that was launched by the British and the French forces, which was to break through the German lines. And as I was mentioning earlier, the British suffered devastating losses, approximately 60,000 on the first day alone, which you might have heard is like one of the bloodiest days in British history. But the thing about Britain is they had those guards. They were a strong nation. It's just this was really the downfall. I mean, if you really look at the past times, they were a dominant side. And then lastly, with the Battle of Verdun, which was between French and German forces around northeast France. And it was typically important to the French because they had a route to Paris, and obviously Paris is a big part in French culture. And they were able to successfully defeat Verdun, and this became like the French determination, and they got a lot of power after this. And really looking at the impact afterwards, this really impacted lots of everyone around the country because things were all shifting, and they were starting to try to get like United Nations involved, but just not too long after, World War II happened, and a span of 50 years, just looking at it, how crazy it is, how much the world shaped.
Yeah,
and this wasn't too long ago.
Yeah, there was tons of countries who separated and then got merged and then re-separated, and then land changing hands between different nations. So it was definitely a hectic time there. Well, now I think it's time for our movie news, and today I'm going to be giving you my personal opinions for each of the Oscar categories. These are, again, just my personal opinions. Some of them are probably a little obvious, no hot takes here. Oh, maybe a few. So, for actor in a lead role, I'm going to go with Paul Giamatti for his role in The Holdovers. He won a Golden Globe and a Critics' Choice. I think Cillian Murphy is really the only other nominee that I could see actually winning. Because other than that, it's Bradley Cooper, Coleman Domingo, and Jeffrey Wright. I just feel like Paul Giamatti and Cillian Murphy are the two like studs out of that group. And then for actor in a supporting role, I've got Robert Downey Jr. for that one. I really think that he's like the one lone guy at the front for his role in Oppenheimer, because he won a BAFTA, a Golden Globe, and a SAG award. So, I mean, it's really going to be tough for any of these other guys to get him, because you have Mark Ruffalo, Ryan Gosling, Robert De Niro, and Sterling K. Brown. So, like, I could maybe see Mark Ruffalo or Robert De Niro getting it. But, yeah, Robert Downey Jr., I feel like everybody praised him a lot for his role in Oppenheimer, and so I really don't see him losing that one. For actress in a lead role, this one I think is going to be a little contested, because you have Annette Bening, Lily Gladstone, Sandra Hüller, Carey Mulligan, and Emma Stone. I'm going to say that Lily Gladstone gets the Oscar. She won a Golden Globe and a SAG award for Killers of the Flower Moon, which I saw all 3.5 hours of it. It was a pretty good movie, and she did a really good job in that. I think Emma Stone is another favorite for this in Poor Things. I haven't seen it, but from what I heard, like, she really committed to the role. Like, she was watching like videos of toddlers learning to walk so that she could imitate that with her character, and like just the commitment that she put into the role and like the way that she changed herself for the role. I think that could be something that the Oscars recognizes. So I'd say Lily Gladstone or Emma Stone are the two that I would expect there.
Yeah, that's gonna be interesting who they decide to choose, because obviously both great, and it's really just up to the people what they want.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting, because I think Emma Stone, she's been nominated a few times. She might have won a few. I think she's won a few awards. She might have won a Critics' Choice. So it'll be interesting to see if she can pull out this win. And then for actress in a supporting role, I think this one is pretty obvious. I have Divine Joy Randolph winning it for her role in The Holdovers, because she's won a Critics' Choice, a Golden Globe, and a SAG award. So really, I feel like if she won all three of those, she's not really going to lose, because this one has Emily Blunt, Danielle Brooks, America Ferrera, and Jodie Foster, along with Divine Joy Randolph, and I just really don't see a way that she will lose this. And then the last one, Best Picture. So this one, I also think that this one can be pretty contested because there are quite a few films in here. There's American Fiction, Anatomy of a Fall, Barbie, The Holdovers, Killers of the Flower Moon, Maestro, Oppenheimer, Past Lives, Poor Things, and The Zone of Interest. So there's a lot. There are a lot. So I'm actually going to go ahead and say that Poor Things wins this. I know a lot of people would probably be thinking Oppenheimer. So it's kind of a sleeper pick. It did win a Golden Globe for Best Picture as a musical or comedy. And it's received tons of nominations, but just not as many wins when you have the powerhouses such as Oppenheimer. And I think another dark horse for this category is The Zone of Interest. It kind of came out later in 2023, but from what I've heard, a lot of people really like it, and it's because it's about World War II and like a house located right next to one of the German concentration camps. And so like some people said that it's like it is freaky. Like it is not like, I don't know if disturbing is the right word, but like I think from what I've heard, the producers did a really good job, and the directors of making it so that you feel something for the movie. So I could see those two kind of like Oppenheimer is probably the favorite.
Oh yeah, definitely.
It
It was a hit this summer, but the movies this year, I'd say, amazing credit to the movie industry. Really had a bounce back year after COVID was a little hard for people to get in the movies, but I think a lot of people got back in the movies, and that's just great to see.
Yeah, I mean, tons of people were heading back to the movie theaters this year. So yeah, like you said, that's just great to see. You want to see that. So now we'll head to a quick music break. So stay tuned, and we will be right back.
I used to rule the world. Seas would rise when I gave the word. Now in the morning I sleep alone. Sweep the streets I used to own. I used to roll the dice, feel the fear in my enemy's eyes. Listen as the crowd would sing. Now the old king is dead, long live the king. 1 minute I held the key. Next the walls were closed on me, and I discovered that my castle stand upon pillars of salt and pillars of sand. I hear Jerusalem bells are ringing, Roman cavalry choirs are singing. Be my mirror, my sword and shield, my missionaries in a foreign field. For some reason I can't explain, once you've gone it was never an honest word. And that was when I ruled the world. It was the wicked and wild wind, blew down the doors to let me in, shattered windows and the sound of drums. People couldn't believe what I'd become. Revolutionaries wait for my head on a silver plate, just a puppet on a lonely string. Oh, who would ever wanna be king? I hear Jerusalem bells are ringing, Roman cavalry choirs are singing. Be my mirror, my sword
Welcome back to the Show with Alex and Johnny. We're on to our last topic today, which is our music portion. Just a few quick things here that are, I'd say, fairly big news. So Apple was fined $2 billion by the European Union. They said that it was because they prevented other companies from advertising payment options on their websites. And so pretty much what that means is that Apple, on their iOS platform, if you pay for a subscription on a music site on their from an app downloaded in the iOS store, they add on a 30% fee. So if you download the Spotify app and then buy the subscription and it's $10 a month, you're paying $13 a month. Whereas if you do Apple Music, it doesn't charge you for that. However, if you do it on the website, like the Spotify.com website, then it avoids that fee. And so what they're saying is that Apple prevented those other companies from saying, hey, it's cheaper if you do this, and then drawing more people towards Apple Music or making them pay more money.
I understand like what Apple's trying to doing with this marketing technique, but it's just you can't do that.
Yeah.
I mean, this is gonna get you fined. I mean, $2 billion. I mean, that's a lot.
Yeah, and I think Apple's going to try and appeal it, but it's like, I think they said, well, think about it. You're charging people an extra 2 to 3 euros, because they're in Europe, like per month. And if somebody has it for 3 years and they're paying an extra like $2 a month, that could be $60 to $80 per person. And if some people have been using it for longer, it could be a lot more money. So interesting to see how that all unfolds. Then our second topic, Justin Timberlake announced his track list for his new album. It's titled Everything I Thought It Was, and it releases March 15th. There is a song with NSYNC called Paradise. That is their second new song as a group after Better Place from the Trolls Band Together movie. And there's 18 total songs on the album. Selfish and Drown are two that have already been released. I've heard Selfish a lot on the radio. It's pretty catchy. And then Sanctified was a song that he performed on SNL. So that'll be cool getting some new Justin Timberlake.
Yeah, Justin Timberlake, great music artist. I mean, a lot of people love him. He can create albums. He's been creating albums for years. He's definitely, I think he's an underrated artist. I mean, he was really known back then, but he's really still producing great songs. He's a great person.
Yeah, he took a little bit of a break. He in like the early 2010s. That's when he was all over the place. And so yeah, it's good to see him making a little comeback. I like his music. It's always really catchy. Yeah, like you said, he's great. He's got a great voice. So some of these songs I'm sure will be big hits, and hopefully we get some more NSYNC songs too. Because Better Place, that was a good song from the Trolls movie. That one was also catchy. I'll give them credit. They know how to make a good song. An earworm, I guess. So that'll do it for today's episode of Thank you all for joining us. We will not be back next week for spring break, but we will be back the week after, so be sure to tune in then. Thank you all for joining us. I'm Alex Worth alongside Johnny Reynolds, signing out.
Just a